She was solid. Her foot was movement was on point. Yeah, man. Scott Nicholson, man. I think that fight, she needed to definitely rematch that fight for sure, man. They gave Tierra Brown the nod last night, giving her a split decision win. The scorecards was crazy though. That 97-93 judge, I was like, whoa, you thought that fight was that wide slide for that go Tierra Brown? Like, it was a close fight. That fight, honestly, like I mean, I watched Eddie Hearn after the fight where he said the fight could have went 7-5 either way, which is I honestly felt the same way. The fight could have went 7-5 either way, in my opinion. You know what I mean? But hey, Scott Nicholson got to get that fight back, man. Run that fight back. She, Eddie Hearn said he didn't have a rematch clause on that fight, man, which is kind of weird. Why would you have her be a champion and you don't have a rematch clause for that fight? That was kind of weird, hearing Eddie Hearn say that. But then Eddie Hearn also said maybe Sky may take two fights after this fight and then decide to come back to fight Tierra Brown, which was kind of weird to me and off to me as well. Like, you know what I'm saying? Honestly, that fight, that type of fight, Eddie need to be pushing to run that fight immediately back for sure. And he know he can make that fight happen, you know what I'm saying? I know he got the connections with the WBC to make that fight happen and run that back for sure, man. But I think Scott Nicholson, I think they fight they do have a rematch in that fight with her and Tierra Brown. I think no, she'll beat Tierra Brown. You know what I mean, if they do have a rematch, because she won't make the same mistake of continuing to fight a rugged fight on the inside with her throughout the whole night. Because that definitely benefited Tierra Brown for real, honestly. You know what I'm saying? And Eddie Hearn even mentioned that in his post fight interview. My boy Thomas Hill, he said she definitely got to get that back. But I think next time it would be a cleaner victory for Tierra Brown. Her pilots with her ones. Yeah, man. Tierra Brown, she fought a good fight for real, man. Shit, and I like Tierra Brown's corner. How how they was instructing her in the corner. They definitely gave her some proper instructions in the corner. And they was getting in her ass over there, keeping her, keeping her focused up, man. You know what I'm saying? Like keeping her locked in, you know what I mean? So and definitely, gave her the right instructions as far as, details going into the fight for us, what to do in the fight. And Tia Brown was sharp, man, fighting on it. She outboxed, Nicholson. She was boxing well on the outside with Nicholson too when they had, sequences on the outside as well last night, man. So like great fight for Tia Brown. You know what I'm saying? Nicholson, I think she with her height and her range, her reach, she could probably win that rematch if she fight more on the outside with Tierra Brown, probably. But I can see Tierra Brown probably doing the same thing too, in the same sense, fighting on the outside, on the outside looking clean, and especially fighting on the inside too, making it a rugged fight for Nicholson, because Nicholson, she cannot fight on the inside at all. I mean, for sure. He said, I thought it was set it apart. Yeah, fight. Yeah, fights. Facts, bro. Facts. Scott didn't fight her fight, man. Tierra Brown, definitely a great game plan, man. Salute to Tierra Brown for capturing that title last night. And salute to her team, man, for the game plan and the hard work they put in last night, man. They put in some hard work last night for sure, man. And let's go to the next fight, man. The main event for that card, George Kambosos Jr. versus Jake Wiley. In my predictions video with my boy Doobie's Ring. Shout out to my boy Doobie's Ring, man. Um, we both predicted George Kambosos to win by unanimous decision, which he did that with Jake Wiley. George Kambosos, he was more fat. He was faster than Jake Wiley, like you know what I'm saying, which is kind of different because in recent fights that you've seen with George Kambosos, he looks slower than the guys he's fought recently, fighting um um Devin Haney and Maxie Hughes and um, um, Lomachenko. Like those three guys, man, they all faster than George Kambosos in those fights. And Jake Wiley, he put up a competitive fight. I ain't gonna lie, towards the second half of the fight for real. George Kambosos was fighting well for us, counter, countering Jay Wiley, pretty well every time he was coming in. He great jab from George Kambosos as well. Um, this was just a easy fight for George Kambosos. It ain't really too much to speak about it too much. Um, and of course, he won by the unanimous decision. Um, well, Jay Wiley was kind of fighting a little dirty a little bit. You know what I'm saying, with the hit with the headbutts and stuff a little bit, and it was kind of different fight, man. It was a rugged fight, man. It was a good little scrap fight to watch. You know what I'm saying? Yesterday morning for real, but easy to know. We know George Kambosos, he won. George Kambosos, what's up next for George Kambosos? Richardson Hitchens. I'm hearing that the targeted date is June 21st, which is a bad date for them because that's the same day that Tank and Roach is going to be fighting on a rematch in Vegas. So Richardson Hitchens versus George Kambosos Jr. is the next fight for George Kambosos. That's on the horizon. They fighting for Richardson Hitchens, IBF 140-pound title, and definitely looking forward to see that fight for sure, man. I think Richardson will win that. Just an early prediction. You know what I'm saying? I think that's an easy fight for Richardson. Honestly, in my opinion, I don't think George Kambosos is that talented. In my opinion, that's just my personal opinion. You know what I mean? But George Kambosos definitely get all credit. He fought a good fight against Jay Wiley. He won that fight easy, and they end up Eddie Hearn. He ends up offering Jake Wiley a matchroom boxing contract after the fight. So Jake Wiley, man, congrats to him for getting a matchroom boxing contract after fighting George Kambosos. And I was listening to George Kambosos his post fight interview where he said he wants to try to help Jake Wiley and groom him and everything. And Jake Wiley's 24 years old, so he's a younger fighter. So definitely want to try to help him in his career and try to help promote him a little bit and everything. So good shit from George Campos as far as that pertaining. But George Cambosa's the ticket sales was kind of bad. They had a 20,000 seated venue, and heard they only sold about 1,200 tickets, man, which is kind of different for George Cambosa's, man, a little bit, man, because usually George Cambosa's usually sell out there in Australia, you know what I mean? But I heard it was a bad gate for as this event, and I think they ended up switching to a smaller venue. It looked like because the venue looked smaller and it was kind of quiet in the venue a little bit. Like wasn't too much action up there. But salute to George Cambosos and Tierra Brown for on the victories on that card, man. And let's get to the next card, man, that I want to talk about. This is the card that I definitely covered heavy last night. I watched a little bit at Pro Box TV. They had a card last night. I watched a few of the early fights from that card. I did get to catch Kelvin Davis fight. Then I watched the main event fight on Pro Box TV last night. But I mainly watched the PBC card on Prime Video last night. Sebastian Fundora versus Cordell Booker. That was the main card that we definitely predicted on Friday night. And we're gonna get into it, man. Let's talk about this first fight. The first fight, controversial, man. Controversial for the first fight. I gotta say for sure. Um, First fight, man. I'm sorry about this first, but I ain't gonna lie, man, because there's a lot of controversy about it. Um, Elijah Garcia versus Terrell Gausha last night, man. First fight. And bro, man, Terrell Gausha won this fight fair and square to me last night, man. Gotta say that, man. Salute to Terrell Gausha for the performance he put on last night, man. He was just pretty much doing, sticking to his similar 1-2, beating him with the right. And and he dropped him in the first round. He dropped him badly in the first round for real. You know what I'm saying? Elijah Garcia got up, you know what I'm saying? He fought the rest of the fight through. But Elijah Garcia, um he he didn't it's like it's like he ain't putting it all the way together in these fights, man. Like you know what I'm saying, when he, you know, in the last couple of fights that he's had. Of course, he lost to Kyron Davis last year in June 2024, and a guy that's a little bit more slicker, a little bit slicker on their feet, and got some power. Um, you know, basically, Elijah Garcia just keep his head on the line, man, out there when you watching him fight in these last two fights, man. So where Kyron Davis and Terrell Gachet, they was able to take full advantage of that, and in that fight, Terrell Gachet won a lot of those rounds in the early rounds. Of course, he had a 10-8 round in that first round. And going into the middle of the fight, even in the later rounds, like it was a clear robbery in this fight. And if you want to use robbery, I don't like to use robbery in a lot of fights, and I know a lot of boxing fans like to use robbery very loosely. But I'm not going to be the person to use robbery loosely in a lot of fights, as far as in particular situations. But this fight was definitely a robbery. Um, Terrell Gachet outboxed Elijah Garcia, plain and simple, for real. And they should have gave the nod to Terrell Gachet, but not so fast. You got to understand the business of boxing to know certain terms. Elijah Garcia, 16-1, younger fighter, has a lot of Spanish fans. PBC's grooming him as one of those upcoming stars at that 160-pound division, and they like, hey, we gonna give him this nod, you know what I mean, so he can move on, and we're trying to give him some bigger fights down the line. And Terrell Gachet, older fighter, about 38 years old, you know what I'm saying, put up a good fight. He's been on PBC, loyal to PBC, gave you a good amount of money for this fight. Hey, we got to get Elijah Garcia this win, you know what I mean, because this the guy that we grooming up to be that star at 160. It sucks. And I gotta say that it sucks. I hate it, and I know some fans will be like, "Yeah, it's definitely some bullshit for us boxing pertaining to," but it's part of boxing, man, and I hate it. It shouldn't be a part of boxing. Let me say this, and don't get it twisted. PBC is not the only company that does this. All of the promotional company does it. I done seen in them multiple fights and all of these promotional company fights where they have a younger fighter beat a older fighter. The older fighter probably won the fight, but they give the nod to the younger fighter because they're trying to groom him as the upcoming star in their company. I mean, um, sucks. It's a thing of boxing that I hate, but it is what it is, man. And I definitely felt that Terrell Gachet definitely won that fight fair and square, clean to me. You know what I'm saying? Elijah Garcia should have lost last night, honestly, but Elijah Garcia moves on to 17-1, and we'll see what's up next for Elijah Garcia, man. I can kind of look at what could be possibly next for Elijah Garcia, where he's at in that 160-pound division, I believe. So what could be, is he 154? My bad. Oh yeah, he is 160. Okay, so he is 160. My bad. 160. He's ranked. Elijah Garcia is ranked number 15 in the WBA at 160 right now. As far as that sanctioned body, and that's the only sanctioned body that he's ranked in. So right now, you can tell that they're pretty much PBC's grooming him, slowly for surely, you know, in the 160 division. And I mean, what's some possible fights that you see for Elijah Garcia? I mean, well, you got a lot of these guys names that's not familiar in the 160 division. The 160 division is really lackluster. I gotta say that. You know what I mean? Um, Maybe with him at 160, maybe try to fight Shane Mosley Jr. Maybe um Ye- Yuanli Hernandez. Maybe try to fight him possibly. Or maybe a fight with Troy Isley. Or, Leon Smith possibly. It's some decent names at 160. It's some decent names. Denzel Bentley, that's a name he could possibly try. You know what I mean? Just looking over. I know he's not gonna. I know Chris Eubank. That's not happening. We know that's not happening. You know what I mean? So, I mean, he's a contender for Eris Landy Lara's title, and Eris Landy Lara. He's at PBC. So, but that's not happening with him being at 15. PBC. What we seen from Elijah Garcia in these last two fights, him losing to Kyron Davis and him winning in a controversy split decision last night versus Terrell Gausha, he got a lot of grooming to do still. A lot of grooming. You know what I mean? But he moves on to 17-1. And salute to Terrell Gausha for putting up a good fight, man. Hopefully to see him some more. Because he's still fighting at a high level in boxing for sure, man. And let's get to the next fight, man. Ramos Jr. last night, man, versus Guido Stram, man. This man Jesus Ramos went crazy last night, bro. Like that man went crazy last night, dog. Like scored what round was that knockout, bro? He went crazy. He fought a good ass fight, man. Looked sharp, even though Guido Shram, the talent ain't there. No, ain't there, obviously. You know what I'm saying? This was a replacement fight, by the way. You know what I'm saying? So, but it was all for Jesus Ramos just to look sharp and look good last night. And he scored a 7 round knockout last night. Crazy knockout too, bro. Like I thought, and it was crazy because I'm watching the fight, and me, I be trying to get certain highlight clips. If you checking out my socials, man, follow Campaign Network on our socials, by the way. Yeah, I mean, but I'm watching the fight, and I'm trying to catch a little because I thought that Jesus Ramos was going to stop him like in the fourth round, like third or fourth round. Honestly, it was a couple. He did knock him down early in the fight too. He knocked him down like first or second round, I believe. You know what I'm saying? And I'm thinking he's just gonna stop him at least like fourth, fifth, sixth round. But he ended up stopping him in the seventh. But that man Shram, I gotta salute to him. That motherfucker, he was in there banging. He was banging with Jesus Ramos, man. Like he was in there banging. He was taking hella punishment. But he was in there banging with Jesus Ramos, man. Like, and it was a good ass fight to watch. It was a good ass scrap, like a real good ass fight to watch last night. I enjoyed watching that fight. Like, and I salute the Widow Shram for him, getting in there, man, and taking that punishment for Jesus Ramos. Jesus Ramos looked it clean, man. He had a lot of power behind the shots. Even the shots that, you know, was soft touch shots was power that, it looked powerful. You know what I mean? Um, Definitely looked sharp on defense last night for sure as well. Like he was 100% locked in, man, and he just looked very sharp, man. Definitely pitched the shutout up until the knockout. Definitely excited to see what Jesus Ramos do in that 154 division, man. He's been looking good, man. Of course, he's coming off, last year knocking out Jason Rosario, and then of course, last year he knocked out Johan Gonzalez, and Johan Gonzalez he just beat Jared Hurd this past week. You know what I mean? So um definitely, man, interested to see what Jesus Ramos, man, in the 154. That's a hot division right now, man. Maybe Sebastian Fundora, maybe he want to, you know, go ahead and give him a shot at the WBC and the WBO titles, maybe. Um, who else? Uh, you got guys like Virgil Ortiz out there. Let's look at the landscape real quick. some fights for him. So Jesus Ramos. Jesus Ramos, he's mainly in the WBC. So, of course, there's some good fights, man. Charles Conwell, um, Israel Madrimov, that I mean, I don't know if they have made. I don't think that'll happen with both promotional companies and Madrimov may trying to look for something different. Especially you got the ties to Turkey too a little bit, along with Eddie Hearn. So I don't know how that would happen. But Charles Conwell, that's a fight that Eddie Hearn would definitely maybe try to give to Charles Conwell. That'd be a good ass fight for Jesus Ramos. Um, Kalen Wash. That'd be a decent fight. I think Caleb. I think Jesus Ramos will beat him though for sure. Um, it's crazy. Cordell Booker loses last night. They ain't feeding him after that. Um, Jesus Ramos versus Serhii Boychuk. That'd be a banger. Woo! I love that fight. Jesus Ramos versus Serhii Boychuk, that fight can be made too. That'll be an easy fight to make because Boychuk, he's kind of freelancing a little bit between the zone and PBC a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But he'll come over to PBC to fight Jesus Ramos. That'll be a good fight, especially to put him in position. But like I said, at the end of the day, if it comes into you know Sebastian Fundora deciding to, pick Jesus Ramos because both of them guys are on PBC, it'd be an easy fight to make. I would love to see that fight for sure. And I think Jesus Ramos gonna make it competitive. You know what I'm saying? They both got a common opponent in Erickson Lubin. I mean, of course, a lot of people felt Lubin lost to Jesus Ramos. And of course, Sebastian Fundora, you know what I'm saying, he beat Lubin. You know what I mean? So um, definitely interesting to see what's next for Jesus Ramos, man. But salute to him, man, on the 7 round knockout last night. He looked sharp. He looked amazing last night for sure, man. And get to the next fight, man. The main event: Sebastian Fundora versus Cordell Booker, man. Um, this was a wash last night for Sebastian Fundora, bro. Like, yeah, salute to my boy Doobie's Ring, man. He called this shit. He said that Sebastian Fundora was gonna stop Cordell Booker early, and he definitely did that, man. Scored a fourth round knockout last night, retaining his WBC and WBO titles last night, man. He looked sharp. I watching this fight last night. I'm just looking at the height of um, this man Sebastian Fundora, man. Like this his height was just overwhelming Cordell Booker. Cordell Booker, he didn't know where to pick his shots or anything. He couldn't even really invest in the body at all either. You know what I mean? Like Sebastian Fundora was just, sticking with his jab, controlling his range and picking his shots and just picking Cordell Booker apart where no, he picked him apart to where he had that man leaking out there and stopped that man, knocked him down once. Then Booker got up in the fourth round, and then he stopped him, and it was over after that. It was all she wrote, man. And salute to Sebastian Fedora on a beautiful performance last night, man, for sure. Interested to see what's next for Sebastian Fedora. Like I said, I heard him last night. Um, he mentioned Xander Zayas, and Xander Zayas, he's ranked number two in the WBC right now, man. So that's a fight that will be very interesting. Xander Zayas got some decent height on him too, as well, man. And he's the young phenom over there, top rank, that's undefeated over there and been looking sharp. He just got a knockout in his last fight a couple weeks ago, and I like this fight, man. Xander Zayas and Sebastian Fundora. One thing about it too, though, just to remember, Virgil Ortiz is the interim champion at the WBC. So, and really, curious to see if the WBC would mandate that fight with Virgil Ortiz and Sebastian Fundora. Like, I'm really interested in that. You know what I mean? Because Virgil Ortiz, he's just coming off his great performance he put on with Israel Madrimov, where he beat him. And I'm really looking at the landscape. I'm like, that fight looks like the more logical fight to make. It may be a little bit of roadblocks, a little bit as far as the Turkey situation, because maybe Turkey may want to try to take a fight like that. But Sebastian Fundora, and as you already know, his promoter, his manager is Samson Liquid, and he's not kissing the ring for Turkey. And we're gonna get to talking about Samson Liquid and David Benavidez shortly, but just to give a little sample size for it, Samson is not going to kiss the ring for Turkey in any capacity with any of his fighters. So just the thought of Sebastian Fundora and Virgil Ortiz, if it can be some type of direct correlation with PBC and Oscar De La Hoya, where they can make this fight happen, because Sebastian Fundora would be technically the A side due to him being the champion, having the WBC and WBO straps at 154. If he was to fight Virgil Ortiz, even though Virgil Ortiz is a guy that could bring out a great fan base if they was to have a fight out there in Texas. You know what I mean? I think they have a great turnout if they was to fight. But that's a fight that I feel like Sebastian Fedor should look forward to possibly, unless he's thinking about unifying. Got background that has the IBF. The Bud Crawford, they didn't know the WBA. Now that Bud Crawford's about to move up to 168 to fight Canelo in September, they're making the Bud Crawford relinquish the WBA 154 title. So you got a guy that the interim champion Eunice Telez, which is another PBC fighter. You can probably see him maybe try to unify maybe with him, maybe possibly. But Sebastian Fedora, he got two straps at 154. Curious to see what he does. Like I said, a great fight. Fights for him is Virgil Ortiz. I would say Jesus Ramos. Those are two great fights in my opinion for Sebastian Fedora. Or if he's going to try to unify with Bakram or fight with Eunice Telez. You know what I mean? Those are are four good fights for Sebastian Fundora, in my personal opinion. You know what I mean? But great fight for Sebastian Fundora last night, man. Definitely was excited to see him look sharp and look clean. That was a replacement fight, by the way, because Sebastian Fundora, he was looking forward to possibly fighting Errol Spence, but it didn't happen to materialize. So we'll see what happens next for Sebastian Fundora, man.